Yeah. Tell them check out the blog, bro. YouTube channel called MKO. It's pugilism, boxing algorithm. M stand for Marvin and Kevin's initials KO. Yeah. What is good, ladies and gentlemen? This is the MKO pugilism boxing channel, talking all things boxing. Right about now, I've got an interesting one for you, and I kind of have what some might call an unusual point of view on this issue. And this blog is all about, who is the #1 heavyweight in the world today. I'm talking to you, it's May of 2020, and at this point in time, I'm looking into the question of, look, who is the #1 heavyweight today? So now we've obviously got two guys who collectively hold all the belts, and those two guys are Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, your big bomb, your bomb dosa, that guy, and you got Anthony Joshua, Mr. Stay Humble. You've got those two guys who basically between them hold all of the belts. Fury with the WBC, the Ring Magazine belt. You also then have Anthony Joshua with WBA, IBF, WBO, I think even IBO and whatever as well. So, you've got one guy with the majority, then you've got Fury with the WBC, the ring belt. So that's how the belts are split. Joshua, he won them after Fury lost them with all his troubles and his trials after he won them in 2015. So this question right now is definitely a big one. It's definitely a polarizing issue. I think the sort of fans of either guy, because boxing is becoming very much like this thing where if you support one guy, you can't support the other guy. If you support Fury, you can't sort of have any respect for Wilder. If you support Wilder, then you can't like Tyson Fury. There's all these sort of bipartisan, there's almost this sort of tribalism thing nowadays with boxing fans, where they're just fans of one fighter. I remember it being that way when Manny Pacquiao, and Floyd had the rivalry, and you had the Floyd fans only with Floyd and Manny fans only with Manny, and there was no sort of just, okay, I'm a fan of the sport, I can appreciate any great boxer. So anyway, you've got the belt split that way, and for me right now, my view on the whole situation is that we actually, at this point in time in May of 2020, we actually don't know who the #1 heavyweight in the world is. I think the consensus is that it's Tyson Fury, and I think the reasoning behind that is because Tyson Fury he's the only man, if you add up, if you put his win where he was the underdog against Klitschko, went to Germany, fought Vladimir, and shut Vladimir out completely. Fury near enough won every round against Vladimir Klitschko, and that cemented him at that point as #1. I think Wilder, was he champion at that? I can't recall whether he was or wasn't. But anyway, so he was basically the consensus, the #1 guy at that point. But then he made no defense of that title at that time, of any of those belts. He went off into the hiatus. I think there was the PDs or whatever, and he had his issues with the depression, and he wasn't really embraced by the public. He wasn't given the Sports Personality of the Year, which I think he deserved, based on his achievements at that time. BBC Sports Personality of the Year, and he wasn't really received so well by the public, and I don't know if that was the reason, but there was a multiplicity of reasons. He went off into estate. He went and put on loads of weight and everything. So he never defended those belts. Those belts then became fragmented. A few years later down the line, you have Anthony Joshua fighting for one of them, beating Charles Martin. And later down the line, he beats Joseph Parker, and he picks up the belts that were fragmented after 2015 with Fury. He has the great win over Vladimir Klitschko, who at the time he was the tail end of his career, but he performed fantastic against Joshua. He gave Joshua the fight of his life and the fright of his life. He came very close to even taking Joshua out. And so then we then have, going past that, we then have, of course, Deontay Wilder, those years having the WBC belt, never really unifying anything, or I guess they might have sought to do that at some time, but never happened. So Joshua's got those. Then we have Fury coming back, Fury fighting a few guys, Pianetta and these other guys, and then getting the Wilder shot, getting the draw, which most people consider the win, then gets the rematch and talks big about he's going to take Wilder out, does the job on him in the rematch, stops him inside the distance, brilliant job. So he now holds the WBC and the Ring magazine. And most people, I think the majority of people, have Tyson Fury as the sort of consensus number one at heavyweight right now. And in a sense, you can't really disagree with that. But in my view, I still think that, okay, technically, yes, you could say that he's out of him and Joshua. He's the unbeaten man and whatnot, and he's got the ring belt, he's got the WBC, the belts Joshua has, he had them at some point. But my sort of argument with it, my reason why I say we don't actually know right now who's the top guy at heavyweight until Fury and Joshua fight, is because you've got Joshua, who he did achieve. He did pick up the belts. Fury went off and, didn't defend him. So, and I think my thing is, because Fury, although he had the great achievements of winning the titles, the thing he didn't do is he didn't defend any of his titles. He's yet to do that. So I think there's still that argument for Joshua, because Joshua has I think Joshua has to beat Fury to prove he's sort of the number one. But I think Joshua's got the argument, got certain things in his favor, in that, unlike Fury, he's won the titles and he's defended the titles all the way along until he had his one loss against Ruiz in the upset, but up until then, Joshua has been consistently defending his world titles, whereas Tyson Fury, although he won his belts in Germany against the odds, something that great champions in the past have done, and even recent past, Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, Tyson, whoever, right? These guys, they all defended their belts, which is why we sort of recognize them as being so great. The amount of defenses they make, Joe Louis, Klitschko, Hopkins in recent history, and that's what we admire about guys. Not just the victory they get. We look at that and we say, wow, great by Tyson Fury. But the reason why I question him being the number one is because, unlike Anthony Joshua, he hasn't defended his belts. So I'm saying, okay, yeah, you could argue he's number one, but I'm saying until he's defended them, okay, against Wilder, and then until he's beaten an Anthony Joshua, who does hold all the belts, I don't think we can call Fury or Joshua number one. I don't think there is yet a number one in the heavyweight division. Reason being because there's asterisks by both of their names. I mean, Joshua, yes, he's won the belts, defeated champions. I think in terms of resume, I think Joshua's fought the better names than Fury, but then Fury's the undefeated guy, and he beat the other champion that was out there. But Joshua's defended the belts, whereas Fury hasn't defended the belts as yet. So I think at the moment, as much as many people are saying, oh, this guy's number one, that guy's number one, my view is, you know, we still don't actually know until if Fury wins, he fights Joshua, and that happens, and then we still don't know about Joshua's status until he fights Tyson Fury. And, you know, until that fight happens, I believe that as much as some people are crowning one guy, some people crown the other guy, I'm saying right now we should hold fire. We don't really know until these two guys clash, until they fight each other. That's assuming Deontay Wilder don't pull an upset. If Wilder pulls an upset, then it will be until he fights Joshua, then we'll see. But as of right now, it's until Fury and Joshua fight. Really, as much as people are claiming this number one thing, I'm saying we still don't know. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And until the next vid, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. See you on the next one.